relax. Settle in, grab a coffee or something warm, and let's take a slow walk into one of the strangest mysteries ever recorded. A place where an entire town vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but eerie silence, unfinished meals, and questions that no one alive can answer. If you enjoy mysteries like this, make sure to like the video, comment your theories at the end, and share this with someone who would appreciate a good puzzle. It truly helps the channel grow, and it keeps stories like this alive. Now, let's begin. It's 1923, deep inside the Amazon rainforest, surrounded by an endless wall of trees, humidity, and the hum of unseen insects, lies a small Brazilian town named Hor Verde. It wasn't big. Roughly 600 people called it home, but it was lively. It had a school, small farms, a church, and a tightly knit community built around modest living and predictable routines. Sunrise, work, supper, rest. Day after day. Nothing unusual, nothing dramatic. Until one morning, an official inspection team sent to check on political tensions in the region stepped out of the forest and into the clearing where Hor Verde should have been. What they found instead was something they couldn't explain. At first glance, the town looked normal. The homes were intact, the doors were open, laundry still hung on lines outside, gently swaying in the forest breeze. Chairs were pulled out as if a conversation had just ended. Food sat on tables, partially eaten, still fresh. It was as though every single resident had stood up at the exact moment and walked away. But there was no sound, no people, no movement, no life. Hor Verde was completely, impossibly empty. And the deeper the investigators walked into the ghost town, the stranger things became. Inside the schoolhouse, they found a blackboard with a single sentence scrawled across it in chalk. There is no salvation. No one knows who wrote it, or why, or what it meant. There were no bodies, no signs of struggle, no tracks leading out of the village that would suggest a mass evacuation. Nothing broken, burned, or taken. Just silence. Even the animals, dogs, livestock, chickens, were gone. Every living thing that belonged to Hor Verde had vanished. The search team was stunned. They weren't equipped for a phenomenon like this. Their mission was routine. This was anything but routine. The next morning, more officials arrived. The investigation spread outwards in widening circles, combing through forest trails, rivers, ravines, and nearby settlements. They searched for clues, footprints, torn fabric, cart tracks, signs of conflict, anything. But the jungle offered no answers. Hor Verde simply wasn't there anymore. People at the time whispered about supernatural forces, demonic curses, or forest spirits. Some believed the villagers angered something ancient that lived in the Amazon. Others claimed they were taken by bandits, military deserters, or something more organized. But none of those theories matched the clues, or the complete lack of clues. Imagine this. If 600 people were kidnapped, there would be chaos, resistance, signs of struggle. Someone would have tried to run. Someone would have left a message. Someone would have survived. But the quietness of Hor Verde suggested something else, something coordinated, something deliberate. Or something forced them to leave all at once. One of the most chilling details was discovered in the center of town. A large pot sat over the remains of a fire. The stew inside was halfway cooked, vegetables floating at the surface, the broth still warm. Someone was preparing lunch. And then, they weren't. Investigators estimated the town had been empty for no more than 48 hours, which means whatever happened to the residents happened fast. Too fast. Over time, several theories emerged. Some believed the villagers fled because of political conflict. At the time, Brazil was dealing with rebel factions and instability, but the region around Rio Verde had no recorded battles or conflicts at the time the town disappeared. And if people were escaping violence, why leave everything behind? Why not take tools, valuables, clothing, livestock, carts, anything? People running for safety don't disappear without so much as a footprint. Another theory suggests they were poisoned or suffered a mass hallucination caused by something in the forest, a fungal spore, a chemical, or a naturally occurring toxin that made them panic and run into the wilderness. But again, no bodies were ever found. The rainforest does reclaim things quickly, but not that quickly, not 600 people without a single trace. Some investigators theorized they were taken by an armed group, a rogue militia or slave traders. But even in that scenario, there would be signs: broken doors, dropped items, injuries, bullet casings, footprints. Rio Verde had none of that. It was untouched. Which brings us to one of the most unsettling possibilities. They walked away voluntarily, all of them, at the same time. What could make 600 people drop everything, leave their homes open, abandon their food, and walk into one of the most dangerous forests in the world with nothing? Some say cult activity, a secret movement known only to the villagers, a pact or prophecy that demanded they leave when a sign appeared. Others speculate that something or someone came to the edge of town and convinced them to follow. A charismatic leader, a traveling preacher, a messenger, a figure promising salvation, or warning of impending doom. The message on the chalkboard, "There is no salvation," is often cited as the strongest clue. Some interpret it as despair, others as a warning to those who'd later find the town. In 1950, decades after the disappearance, a former police officer claimed that soldiers once found a settlement deep in the forest inhabited by people who looked like Europeans but spoke an unfamiliar language. Some believe these were descendants of Rio Verde's lost residents. But the story was never verified, and no modern expedition has found a trace of this supposed hidden settlement. One researcher studying unexplained mass disappearances suggested a bizarre theory. The villagers may have been fleeing something they saw or heard that investigators never did. There are animals in the Amazon capable of producing infrasound, frequencies too low for humans to consciously hear, but powerful enough to induce panic, nausea, dread, and disorientation. Some military weapons use similar principles. If the forest produced something like that, a rare natural anomaly, it could have driven the townspeople to flee in terror. But would infrasound make hundreds of people vanish forever? Probably not. Then there's the wilderness itself. The Amazon is an ocean of green. If you walk into it without knowledge, equipment, or a clear path, you will not survive long. It's not just wild, it is hostile. In seconds, you can be lost. In hours, you can be beyond rescue. Some experts believe the villagers walked into the forest to escape something, real or imagined, and simply never found their way back. But again, no bodies, no items, nothing. It is as if the forest swallowed them whole. As decades passed, the legend grew darker. Some believe Oro Verde was wiped out by an unknown epidemic, a fast-spreading disease that forced authorities to cover it up. In this theory, the government erased the town to prevent panic. But that doesn't explain why no mass graves were ever found, why documents are missing, or why the event was barely reported. Others go even further